Welcome back, everybody, to Expand the Visual. I'm Jordan Taylor, author of How to Wash a Brain, Rote Learning Secrets for Homeschool, High School, and Beyond. Today I'm here to briefly talk to you about this term edugenics. This is a term that I first heard used by Eric Weinstein, and I'm hoping to do my part to popularize this term because it's a very important concept for the field of education, but just learning in general. So it applies to everyone. You might have to go through trainings in your job. You might be trying to mentor somebody, and you're in the position of being a teacher where you have to educate somebody. Either way, we all run across the position of either being a learner or being a teacher in some capacity in our life, especially if you're a parent. So, what does edugenics mean? Well, let's back up one second. It comes from, or it's related to, this term iatrogenics. Iatrogenic harm means you go to the doctor and you expect the doctor to make you better, but you end up going to the doctor and the doctor causes you harm inadvertently. That's important to understand, that it's not intentional harm, but it's inadvertent harm. So that it means harm done by the healer inadvertently. That's what iatrogenics means. What are some examples? So an example would be you go in, someone has an amputation scheduled. This is a classic example. This has happened where it gets marked wrong on the chart and the healthy limb ends up getting amputated instead of the limb that needed the amputation. That's a lot of harm done by the healer. And this is more common than you think. Not necessarily amputations, but a lot of harm being done by the medical industry. We are familiar with the concept of medical malpractice. This is a form of it, but it's not like the person was negligent or they were doing something malicious. It's inadvertent. So I'll give you an example from my personal life. I went in to have some minor surgery. I am allergic to shellfish, but the component that I'm allergic to in shellfish is iodine. I am deathly allergic to iodine. So when I was filling out my paperwork, I wrote that I was allergic to shellfish. I go in there, and they're getting ready to prep me for this minor surgery. The doctor walks out, and the doctor's assistant comes up. The doctor's assistant is so used to every time they get ready to clean the area of skin, they use iodine. That's the go-to. Now, the doctor also usually never has a problem with this. They didn't put two and two together. And right as the assistant is just dunking this huge swab into the iodine bottle and about to smear it all over my body, which would have caused, at the very least, welts, purple welts all over my skin. And if it got in my skin, it could be even worse. Right as she's about to do it, I say, whoa, is that iodine? Yes. I'm extremely allergic. Oh, came that close to having harm done by the healer inadvertently. That's iatrogenics. So take that concept and port it over to education. So this could happen in many, many ways. Some of them could be the teachers are operating on bad data. So they are aiming to fix one thing when really it's not a problem. They have bad data. Or maybe your kid gets misdiagnosed with some problem that's not their problem. So like, let's say that they diagnose your kid with ADHD, which I'm about to make a video about that. But your kid is just a normal kid. This can lead to all sorts of harm. Also, there are new fad teaching methods. The teaching industry is full of fads, okay? You go into school, maybe there's some new fad that they think is going to work out great, and instead it ends up hurting you. One of these is sight words, and I'll make a video against that later. Sight words have messed up a lot of kids' reading abilities. There is a concept called dyslexia. Goes undiagnosed. You could get a teacher that's just yelling and making a kid drill over on something that they didn't do. This kid ends up having a terrible time in school. And that could affect their attitude towards school for the rest of their life. There are other things that happen in an educational environment. Real easy one would be giving the kid the wrong information. You make a mistake, give the kid the wrong information. Next thing you know, they've memorized and internalized that information, and it's wrong. But then later, their beliefs are springing out of this wrong information. You've really done more harm than good. That's what edugenics is about. The education system, in any capacity, doing more harm than good for the learner. And it's inadvertent, but at this point, I don't really care if it's inadvertent. You got to be careful, okay? I don't think I've heard of anybody being sued for educational malpractice, but maybe that needs to start happening. All right, so you have a handle on what the term is now, and you'll be very interested to see the first video, which is about ADHD. I'll catch you then.